What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel, back with another video, this time on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on the Art of Edgar, because Edgar is going to be getting his rework, his Crystal level 90, and as well as the debut of his LD weapon very soon on Global Opera Omnia. So we're just going to be focusing on what's important for this character. No nitty-gritty data stuff. There are channels that I'll be leaving in the description box as well as the pinned comments down below if you guys want to check out more in-depth content on these characters. But for this one, I just want to give you guys some live gameplay and visuals, so that way you guys know what the character does with all their upgrades, and then it kind of helps you formulate a decision on whether or not you're going to be investing. And also I encourage you guys to check out all the resources that I leave down below as well, such as the compendium and all that good stuff, because guys, I get a lot of questions asked on stream and sometimes I don't memorize this information, so I highly recommend you guys just bookmark these tools, and just if you have any questions about the game and you want something to read, great resources down in the video description as well as the pinned comments. But enough talking, let's go ahead and talk about Edgar. So before we actually talk about Edgar, let's have his bro Sabin, and this is on Edgar's Intersecting Wills Lufenia Plus, where I'm going to be doing this demo. Alright, so we got Edgar here. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with Edgar, once he gets his rework and his C90 and his LD, he is a unit that has access to every single type of brave damage. As you can see right here, his skill 1 is ranged, his skill 2 is melee, and his skill 3, or his LD, excuse me, is magic. So this guy does it all in terms of brave damage. He also has defense ignore on the plus versions of all of the buttons that you're going to be pressing for this character. So he's going to be ignoring defense, and as well as inflicting a brand new debuff which comes from his LD, which is pretty much weakness, brave damage to all types of brave damage. So you know how Shantoto is Omni Imperil to elements? Well, Edgar is Omni Imperil to all types of brave damage. So he's going to make all enemies weak to melee, ranged, and magic type brave damage. He's pretty simple. To be honest, he's really simple. Now we're going to touch up a little bit on what he got with his rework. So both his skill 1 and skill 2 now do 3 AoE HP attacks. Skill 1 is going to be split, while skill 2 is going to be splash. They all inflict his debuff, which is royal pressure. This debuff is super important because as long as it's active on enemies, you have access to the plus versions of all of the buttons that you're going to press for this character. And what's cool about Edgar is that if you happen to have his EX weapon, at least I think at the up L limit break 2 out of 3, at quest start, he's going to drop that royal pressure debuff right away. So you'll have access to the plus version of his skills right away, which is what's important for this character, because you're never really going to be pressing the base versions of his skills. So we're going to go ahead and actually apply Cypher Call. I just want to delay these monsters so that way we don't get interrupted in our demo here. Okay, and we can actually put into practice all of Edgar's different skills. Alright, so let's go ahead and just look at his skill 1. And Edgar is also an AoE attacker because all of the buttons that you press are going to be hitting all enemies. So fairly efficient in terms of like dealing damage to groups of enemies, and he also has high turn rate on the plus versions of his skill 1 and skill 2. So we just saw the skill 1. Now we're going to go ahead and check out skill 2. Again, he's really super simple. There's really nothing much to like highlight about this character. He has defense ignore and he has the Omni Imperil towards all types of brave damage. But now we're going to go ahead and take a look at his LD. So his LD in a nutshell is 5 AoE HP attacks that deals split HP damage. He's going to get a brand new buff, which is we're going to highlight right here. So he's going to get a brand new buff, and what this brand new buff does is while Edgar has his active, right there you see it active for 12 turns, anytime he deals brave damage to an enemy, he's going to be inflicting that new debuff called weak, and that makes enemies weak to all types of brave damage, ranged, melee, magic. Again, super simple. This character is really simple, which I guess is kind of cool if players are a little overwhelmed right now with a lot of the more complex characters that we've seen, aka Locke, although Locke's kind of straightforward. You guys should check out the video that I put up for Locke. He's really not that complicated, but some players find him complicated, but Edgar is massively straightforward. Okay, so after you use Edgar's LD, not only does he get that 12-turn buff that allows him to inflict that debuff called weak, but it also transforms his HP in command into Bioblaster, and again, you're only going to use the plus variant of Bio Blaster because Royal Pressure should be active if you're playing as Edgar. Bio Blaster is 3 AoE HP attacks, this time dealing 100% AoE damage to all enemies, and that's pretty much it. And it has Defense Ignore, just like all the rest of his buttons that you press with Edgar. So let's just go ahead and take a look at Bio Blaster here. Paying homage to that tool that he uses in Final Fantasy VI. Alright, and the last thing that we're going to take a look at is Edgar's EX. This will apply his EX buff when you use it, and it now has 5 HP dumps and deals splash damage. Again, super simple. And if you have Royal Pressure up, which you will, you have access to the plus version. So let's just go ahead and take a look at it right here. There we go. I do have to say the animations for Edgar is super slick and again, very reminiscent of how this character played in his respective game, Final Fantasy VI. So overall summarization of Edgar, he is great at making enemies weak to all types of brave damage. He has Omni Imperil, he has Defense Ignore, he deals AoE damage with pretty much almost every button that you press, and he is a damage enabler. What kind of party members do you want to pair up with him? Anybody. Pretty much Edgar works with anybody because he's only really applying what, like 2 debuffs? He takes up 2 debuff slots, which are pretty good debuffs, and he's not buffing the rest of your characters, so he's all in all a pretty good character. I would say that he's not meta or game breaking. We have somebody named Garnet who kind of destroyed the meta right now, if we're talking meta wise, for Global Opera Omnia. So for those players that are looking for a little bit of, I guess, straightforward uniqueness in a character, Edgar could be somebody for you, but just take into consideration what he does. I would say that Omni Imperil to Brave damage, while it's cool while we talk about it, I don't see it as being like particularly, I absolutely need to have that for the current era of the game, because we're in an era where Lufenia Plus is not really that hard, and Garnet being our global first BT kind of just destroyed the meta even further and made these stages just absolutely trivialized. But if you want somebody that can imperil all types of brave damage and you're a fan of Edgar, you're a fan of FF6, then by all means, that's what this character does. I think he's a cool character. Again, it's really up to what you like, but do your research, check out the resources down below, check out the other YouTubers that I've linked down below in the video description as the pinned comments. That way you guys can formulate your own educated decision when you're investing in these characters. Alright guys, well that's going to go ahead and conclude my video for the Art of Edgar. Hopefully it helps you guys out. Stay tuned for the next one, and mahal everyone.